Welcome to the Paul Has Fun podcast. I'm Paul, and on this podcast, I dig into my hobbies. I also document my life and interests. Thank you so much for spending time with me. Welcome back to the podcast, or if this is your first time, welcome as always. Jason's going to be doing most of the heavy lifting on this episode. Jason G, who's joined me for many movie reviews in the past. If you've listened to past episodes, or if you haven't, go back and check those out wherever you may be listening to this podcast, or if you're watching it on YouTube. He's a big Godzilla fan. That's why I asked him to kind of do the heavy lifting on this one particular episode. I will chime in from time to time, but let's go ahead and get right into the review.
All right. How's it going, everybody? This is a review for Godzilla Minus One, which Paul and I saw just the other day, and I'm telling you, this movie is fantastic. It was a surprise of the end of the year. Even Paul was saying, that he wasn't really planning on going to see Godzilla Minus One, but he wanted to, meet up and watch a movie because we hadn't done that in a while.
Chiming in right now for the first time. Yeah, Jason G is absolutely right. We often see movies late Thursday nights. He's normally getting out of work at that time, and I'm off work. Doing it late Thursday nights wasn't always working for me. That's how come this past year of 2023, we haven't seen a lot of movies together. So I've kind of been seeing movies on my own around my area. I miss seeing movies with him. I've seen so many movies with him over the years and wanted to go see something together. I was not jazzed about going to see another Godzilla movie. I'm not the biggest Godzilla fan, and maybe at one point I was when I was younger, but recently not so much. Let's get back into the review.
And I tell you, it was fantastic. I'm going to say my score right away for this one. I give it a 9.2. It was just, I would say, the sleeper of the year. And what's really incredible is how simple the story is. It's very well developed. Like some monster movies, there are some talky parts, but the better ones have a good story, and that you can follow along and feel for the characters. And this really does that. First of all, it begins with kind of like a homage to Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. And Godzilla kills some people in a way I don't think we've seen him kill before. It was almost like that, in the car scene in the rain with the Tyrannosaurus Rex in Jurassic Park. And but it was done in a great way. It's a great opening. Right away, you see Godzilla. This is a spoiler review as usual, so I'm going to get into all that good stuff.
Chiming in once again, this was a great opening scene where Godzilla was a lot smaller. Then we see a montage after this one particular initial scene where he's being kind of bombarded with what I assume are nuclear weapons or radiation. That's what makes him grow. It was very interesting because I've never seen Godzilla this kind of almost like a T-Rex size that you would see in a Jurassic Park, like Jason was mentioning. So that was very interesting. Never seen Godzilla in that shape or form before. And it's funny, it made me think of the Hulk, how, like these gamma rays make Bruce Banner become this hulking monster. And that's kind of something similar to that, what happens to Godzilla in this movie. Let's get back into the review.
So yeah, the story takes place in post-World War II Japan. The main character is a kamikaze pilot from the war who is a failed kamikaze pilot, and he blames himself. This character is blamed by another soldier that he was the one to blame for all of these other people's deaths on that island because he didn't shoot Godzilla when he was supposed to. Of course, we all know that wouldn't have done anything. It would have just got himself killed. But anyway, he's blamed. He blames himself. His fellow soldier blames him. So he takes that with him when he goes back to and try to start a life in Japan. He meets a female who has a child. The child is not even hers. I'm sorry for the noise. She's just caring for this child because the child doesn't have any parents, and it's the end of the war, and Japan is not doing too well. And then she asked if she could stay with him. So they get together and they're living together.
So it's post-war Japan, and the main character, whose name is Koichi, he comes home to his birth home and it finds it is the place where his parents lived, where he grew up. It's been bombed, and the parents are dead. This is already on top of the PTSD that he's suffering from the events that Jason was talking about on the island. Now, and coming home to his village, his town, he ends up meeting a girl, another character, who plays a big part throughout the movie. Her name is Noriko. He finds this woman with this random baby, like she's taking care of the baby, and over time they end up living together. They don't have an intimate relationship. This is what the movie leads on. They live together, but they don't have. They sleep together, like alongside each other, but they don't have an intimate relationship. They raise this baby as their own child. And why was this woman carrying this baby, and why is it that they connect with Koichi? Is because they were all survivors. They were all people who had other family, and the family were killed and were bombed out in this post-war Japan, and they kind of all come together. The main character, Koichi, Noriko, and this baby.
And he finds a job, and with these other people who are, I'm not going to go through the whole story, but anyway, he gets a job, and he meets Godzilla again.
Now, as I mentioned before, these three, Koichi, Noriko, and the baby, they end up living together. They end up building a home in the same place of Koichi's parents that was bombed out. They build the home there, and time passes. There's a montage. The little baby grows. I would say maybe like a 5-year period passes. And this is when Godzilla reemerges. And he's a lot bigger than when Koichi initially found him on that island in the beginning of the movie.
So now the movie's kind of like a homage to Jaws. Them out in the water.
The job that allows the main character Koichi to kind of support this family, this new family, and to rebuild his home. It's a dangerous job. It's basically he's on a boat with 3 other guys, and they go out to deactivate mines in the sea, and it's a very dangerous job. But he takes this job, and the pay is good because of the high hazard.
Meet Godzilla, and these are thrilling scenes, unbelievable. Like it really, like you're in awe when you see all these scenes, man. I mean, and Godzilla, when he's blown up once, all of a sudden he has the power of Wolverine or Deadpool, and he regenerates himself like really quick, which we know he has that power, but we've never seen it like this fast. So that was pretty awesome. Yeah, let's talk about the budget. The budget was like, I believe, like $15 million. The guy who was the director is also the main dude. He's like the visual effects supervisor, so I don't know if that saved money, but these are like top A1 special effects, and the whole movie cost $15 million. It's incredible. I mean, this movie is going to be so profitable because of the low cost. That's like a low budget independent movie nowadays.
This particular movie, which was made on a $15 million budget, when compared to the last Godzilla movie, which was Godzilla vs. Kong, which was made for $155 million, and it doesn't even include the advertising budget. Let's get back into it.
But this is for, one of the biggest Japanese studios in Japan. So I don't know if they said, okay, go and do your Godzilla movie, but we're only going to give you $15 million. But anyway, it worked. It worked really well. Let's talk about how well the movie was casted. This movie had some great characters, man. You talk about well casted. Paul and I were laughing at how great this one general looked when all these people got together because they wanted to, come together and try to fight Godzilla. So there's this one general that just is so well casted, and he's so good. He's so that it's funny almost, but it's great.
This one particular general, admiral person, the leader of this like makeshift army that were going after Godzilla, he has this very like stoic face and shouting orders, barking orders at the crew. And Jason and I, we looked at each other. We were just laughing. And as you heard Jason say, he was like perfectly cast for this role, this particular character.
There's this one guy that the main character works on the boat with like long hair and glasses. He's great, and it turns out that he's smart, and he has like a plan to take down Godzilla, which is like a homage to the original way to take down Godzilla. And what's cool is that they first explain it to everyone like on a chart, and then And then it kind of got me thinking of how why Top Gun Maverick was so good, because they explain to you what they're going to do, and then they do it, and then because you know what they're going to do, it's kind of fun to see them do it. So I almost got Top Gun Maverick vibes with those scenes, but those are done really really well, and all the character arcs are really cool, because there's like the one character that blames the lead character for the deaths from that one time on the island in the beginning. So the lead character finds him, and he's like, "Hey, you're the only one that can fix this plane that we need. These planes are like, they were going to be used for if the war came to, mainland Japan, and they're like souped up planes, but we need you to fix it." So the guy comes on board, and he's like, "All right, but you gotta, take care of business. You gotta. So anyway, we find out at the end that, with a great flashback, the guy like puts in. I don't know if the guy put in an ejection suit, or if it was already on the new planes. But after the guy saves the day with an awesome fight with Godzilla, we see this flashback. He's told about the ejection seat. It's great. It's great flashback. That is a great flashback. That's the kind of flashback that you love.
Jason mentioned that previously there was Kenji. He's the guy in the team who devises the plan to defeat Godzilla. This same character gives an inspirational speech on how Japanese soldiers are trained to die for their country, such as kamikaze pilots, which Koichi, the main character, was. Now Tachibana, who helps repair this advanced plane, tells the main character, Koichi, who's suffering this regret and this loss from the people that he felt that he was responsible for losing in the very beginning. Where I agree with Jason, like even if he got on this Gatling gun and shot at Godzilla, he'd just be one of the victims, but he decided to kind of hide. He just had this PTSD and this regret throughout the whole movie, where he just felt like his life was forfeit. And that's where the ejection scene is so gratifying, because this Tachibana character, it feels like he forgives him, and he tells him to live. Don't die, live. Don't think that your life is worthless, that just because you're a kamikaze pilot and you've had all this loss, that your life is forfeit, that you should live. It was very satisfying to watch this character Koichi throughout the whole movie suffer, and then in the end, the person who he felt he needed to hear it from to forgive himself gave that to him.
I would say see this movie in a theater, because the sound is incredible. I mean, you need this to be thundering. I mean, Godzilla, when he blows his atomic breath, and it could be one of the most powerful Godzilla atomic breaths ever, because it's like, not only does it cause destruction, but it's also like an atomic bomb when he shoots it off. I mean, he levels all of Tokyo, and there's like this after effect. It's like, oh my gosh, it's crazy.
And Jason's absolutely right. And in fact, I've never seen before in any of the Godzilla movies where his blast was like a nuclear explosion, like the mushroom clouds that we would see in movies and TV. And one of the things I've never seen in any Godzilla movie, and I haven't seen all Godzilla movies, I've just seen a select few, it's a very cool effect that I think is exclusive to this movie. I could be completely wrong, where in the main new USA Godzilla movies, like Godzilla vs. Kong, Godzilla King of Monsters, all that, like you see his spine light up and make that humming noise, which is very cool before he lets out his blast. Here, some of the scales on his back lift up from his back while it begins to surge, and his breath blast kind of comes out. And I never seen that before. It's like this anticipation for the blast is heightened now, with the scales kind of coming out of his back. It was crazy. It was very cool.
Oh yeah, then there's this one other character who wasn't in the war, but he wanted to be. But the other character's like, no, you shouldn't be hoping that you were in the war, because it was terrible. You should, and you're not gonna go fight Godzilla, because we might die, and we're gonna leave the future of Japan to you. So enjoy your future. But then this guy comes with his crew, with his tugboats, and he saves the day, and it's so great when we see him. We feel so good for him. Go see this movie in a theater. It's so much fun. What a wonderful soundtrack too. It blends the original theme with some great new themes. You know, I was looking up the soundtrack on YouTube, and go put on some deep bass headphones and look up the song Confusion, or the theme Confusion, and you see how these theme songs like carry the tension. They constantly build and build and build. It's great. What a great movie, man. I think it's one of the top movies of the year, along with Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse, Oppenheimer, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This was one fantastic movie. Go out there and see it in IMAX, and have a great time, man. It's about life, survival, and hope. What we need for some of nowadays.
I wanted to add that after the movie was done, some fans, just random fans, the theater wasn't full. Maybe I would say maybe like 10, 15 people. They approached us because they heard us kind of talking about the movie. And it was this one Indian kid. I think he was Indian. Forgive me if he wasn't. And also it was this army veteran, this military veteran, that he was really like having a lot to say about the movie. And he said that he was in tears almost watching the movie. And I just love that movies, they bring all these different people together. I mean, it's New York and we're already a melting pot, but just bringing kind of these Godzilla fans. And this is just from Jason and I having this conversation while he went to go use the bathroom before he came out. But I just love that movies bring people together. And it's one of the reasons why I even do this podcast, so that maybe this could cause some discussion with whoever may listen to it, whether you agree, disagree. And as always, you can do that on the blog at paulhasfun.com, or if you're watching this on YouTube, you could comment down below. But I also wanted to add with this military veteran that he himself said that, like I said, he was in tears almost watching this movie, that he has had survivor's remorse of, like, why am I left alive when my friends had kind of passed away, or, or KIA, And I found that very touching, definitely.
Take care. I hope you enjoyed this review, and have a great end of the year.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I will catch you on the next one.